Good morning. Come on up on the porch and have a seat. Looks like a beautiful day. We're ahead of the game. I've already had to start mowing since we've had so much warm weather. Usually it's a week or two. Glad you're with us. Last week I talked about arriving in Thule. We're going to kind of continue that. I got to where the fire department had developed a program in about 2 months' time, and I'd been into the plumbing shop for about 2 months. I was probably a little bit of dead weight, but I did try to carry my own weight some and learn a few things. I learned how to sweat joints and thread pipe and things like that. But anyway, now we're in the fire department, and they're teaching us what to do and how to do it and which end of the hose to grab, and learning about what we needed to do. Tell you about the first fire that I was involved in fighting. We only had the water tanks on the trucks because they were heated tanks, and on our trucks, our pumpers, we had 1,000 gallons of water. Now 1,000 gallons sounds like a pretty good bit, but when you're fighting a fire, you can run through that in a minute's time. And the first fire I ever fought was a big mechanical fire. It was the Army motor pool. In Greenland also, you've got the air base there, and the air base is primarily there to support what they called BMUs, Ballistic Missile Early Warning System. These were football field size radars that were built in kind of a semicircular fashion at the top of the world, pointed at Russia. We were supposed to be able to know within a couple of minutes if the Russians fired off a rocket, and these radar sites were supposed to be able to pick it up. Prior to that, there was a thing called the dew line that ran across, all the way across the top of the northern hemisphere. But this BMUs was a brand new project, and it had just opened before I got up there. Well, they also had to protect BMUs and the base. I'm sure the military mind was much more important to protect BMUs than it was to protect the air base. But anyway, we had Army Nike sites. We had 5 of them, I think, maintained by the Army, and they had Nike Hercules surface-to-air missiles to intercept bombers and planes and missiles and stuff, because we were right in the middle of the Cold War then with Russia. It got even hotter over time, but at that particular time, that was our protection from the Russians, was being able to early warn the American public that y'all are about to be turned into cinders. I don't know what, you take, you could go underground. There was a big thing of selling air raid shelters and bomb shelters to individuals, and they'd bury you underground. And I always wondered, okay, what if you survive? What do you have? The world that you walked out of is gone when you come back. But anyway, we were up there. Let me get on with telling you about this fire. The call came in that there was a fire down in the where it's basically a warehouse area, huge warehouses. This one was about 300 feet long and probably 50 or 60 feet wide with all kinds of shops in it. We ultimately found that the fire had started in the battery shop. You know, batteries are always bad and always have been. You know, we hear about these lithium batteries starting on fire, but these were regular old alkaline batteries and they catch fire too. Anyway, started a fire in the motor pool. It was on one end. Well, we got there, like I said, it's got big double doors. We opened the double doors on this end and we're fighting the fire. And it was so cold, it was 40 below zero. Like I was telling you, all we had was the tanks on our trucks. Well, the fire department also had several 5 and 10,000 gallon tankers assigned to it that were stationed at these water stations that were kept warm and heated and water flowed there. But we didn't have any kind of hydrant or piping system. We did have water in the barracks and things, you know, for the restrooms and stuff like that, and water to the mess halls. We had running water, but it was small pipes and it was run along the steam pipes. In Greenland, you'd see these big, and when I say steam pipes, I'm talking the outside cover was probably 4 or 5 foot diameter, and in it ran all kinds of pipes, heating pipes, steam, water pipes for running water in the barracks and things. And it was kept warm by these steam pipes and the outer casings around them. And I got to know a little bit about that because the plumbing shop had to maintain all this stuff. Well, anyway, we get to the scene and it's down by the docks, and one end of this building is engulfed in flames. Well, like I say, just one end of it. So we get the doors open, we start fighting the fire. It don't take long, we're running out of water and these tankers are coming and it's 40 below zero. And I remember them sending me up on top of the fire truck, giving me a hose off that tanker to fill it up. I put the hose down in there, and as it got full, when it got full, it backsplashed water up on me and froze all over me. I mean, within seconds. We were actually, water coming out of our hoses was freezing almost before it got to the building. It was that cold. We had several firemen. I was lucky. I didn't manage to get frostbite, but we had several. We didn't have anybody, excuse me, injured from the fire, but we had a bunch with frostbite and that sort of thing. Let me get a sip here. But to get back to the end of the story here, we never did know exactly who did it. We kind of suspected, but like I said, this thing was 300 or 400 feet long. We about had the fire under control where it was at. And like I said, it had big double doors on each end. Well, somebody went around to the far end of the building, opened those double doors, and it was like a wind tunnel through that thing. It now had a clear path to go clear through the building, and it sucked that fire within a matter of a few seconds from one end of that building to the other. It also created such a vacuum, it helped collapse the entire building. It was a total loss. But anyway, that was my first firefighting experience in Thule, Greenland, and trying to put out a fire at 40 below zero. Hey, listen, y'all come back each week and I'll have some more stories to tell you. I hope you find them interesting. If you do, join us again. Tell your friends about it. That's how folks get to know to come and join us on the weekend. Let them know. All right, y'all have a good day, and we'll see you next week.